the night, but in the morning light, truth will find us.
All right, this is the Evan Ginzburg Show at villageconnectionradio.com. And as always, it's an eclectic mix. Later in the show, we're going to talk movies and TV with media expert Erica A. But we're going to have a lot of wrestling today. Later in the show, we have wrestling manager Mr. Big, Sir Christopher Michaels, Simply Splendid Bobby C., and a couple of surprises. But right now, we have wrestling journalist and podcast host Nick Commando. How are you, Nick?
I'm doing well, Evan. Thank you for having me.
My pleasure. And in the green room, we were talking about all the latest SummerSlam, which just happened, and we were both big fans of the AJ Styles Samoa Joe match.
Oh, yeah.
But there wasn't much else on that show I'm going to remember 5 years from now.
Yeah, I kind of look at it from a standpoint of just enjoying it for what it is. And you're right. I mean, there's things that you're not going to remember what happened a year from now. You're really not. But I enjoyed it for what it was. I think getting... finally...
What exactly was it? To me, all of these pay-per-views are interchangeable.
Yeah, no, you're right. You're right.
Pay-per-view number 11 may or may not be better than WrestleMania.
It's very... You're right. It's very paint by numbers. I mean, the big thing with me was you finally got the Universal title off of Brock Lesnar. Yeah. It was finally on somebody who's going to be there full-time. The
match itself felt more like an angle than a match.
Yeah, it was strange to me. Like, it made sense... to a degree where they have, if you're going to push Braun as a babyface, have him come out and say, I'm going to cash in right, whoever wins I'm going to cash in on them right then and there, so get ready. And then not having him do it and kind of having sort of a flash finish where Roman hits like the seventh spear of the match and finally has it. That to me was pretty smart. And then, but then they kind of contradicted it by having him do what he did the next day. On Raw, where they brought the Shield back and he kind of came in the middle of the match with the briefcase. So it was odd, but, I think finally having two major titles on both of your shows every week is going to make things at least a tiny bit better. But you're right, it is paint by numbers for the most part. And that's
on
the tough
Raw,
part.
The next night, when they had Finn Balor against Roman Reigns,
yeah,
that was better than any match on SummerSlam except for AJ Styles and Samoa Joe. So it's all kind of meaningless.
Yeah, no, you're right. I mean, it's such a long show, and I feel like they make so much content now that they don't seem to want to spice up divisions or change things up a lot. Like this is the third or fourth time we've seen.
Overwhelmed the writers.
Yeah,
there's too much programming.
Yeah, well,
it's too long,
and that's the problem. They're never going to make less content. And for me, that's really, to a point, that's the solution, is to make less content either by just not having a pay-per-view every month or, reducing the amount of time on the weekly shows, but they can't do that because otherwise they're not making money hand over fist. And they're still selling tickets. It's not to a point where nobody's coming to the shows and they have to discreetly, film it, at least not for pay-per-views.
Well, here's my theory. If you want to do wrestling right, you do it like the takeovers, where you have only 5 or 6 matches. Every match means something. Every match they're giving 110%. None of it's throwaway. Yeah. And those takeovers are better than SummerSlam or the Survivor Series or WrestleMania.
And some of these matches too, Dolph Ziggler, Seth Rollins should be a good match. And it was weird to me because the crowd didn't seem into it.
Well, I think you devalue somebody when they've lost 1,000 times, and then all of a sudden, we're going to make him the Intercontinental Champion.
Well, you don't think they've done a good job kind of re-legitimizing Ziggler? Because I think they've kind of done a pretty decent job pulling him out of that.
I still don't look at him the same way as I did 5 years ago when he was world champion and he was on top.
Yeah.
WWE feels wins and losses don't matter. I'm
Yeah.
old school. I feel they do. That you can't
they
just
do to a point.
constantly lose and be looked at this. Like, they're going to diminish Kevin Owens at some point, and the guy's great.
And that was probably the most confusing thing, because I thought the smart money was on Kevin Owens winning the briefcase from Braun, because they stacked it so much against Braun. Literally any way he lost, he would have lost the briefcase. So to me, it felt like they were going to do something where Braun chases Kevin around the ring, they get to a 9 count, Kevin gets into the ring literally at 9, and Braun isn't able to get in by the 10 count, and that's how Kevin wins. And then Kevin goes in and cashes in on Roman at the end of the night, and we end the night with Kevin as Universal Champion. And then they just squash him, which was so strange.
As an old school fan, all I saw was the former world champion, who's one of the best guys they have, got squashed.
Yes, yeah.
Which is ridiculous on a major pay-per-view.
It feels to me like, when he got chokeslammed on the ramp, to me, the only way that I can rationalize it in my head is he got hurt on that spot. And that's why they ended up doing it. He either said something to the ref, and the ref was like, all right, we'll leave it with Braun, and last-minute decision. But at the same time, that's me just booking it in my head. I don't know for sure.
What I see is entirely different.
Yeah.
Vince has a big man fetish.
Braun
is actually quite good.
Yeah, Braun's better than I think Braun has really shown he can actually go.
I mean, I think the fee-fi fo-fum roaring stuff is a little over the top, but the guy could actually wrestle.
Yeah, he can.
And, on top of it, he's huge. And this is what Vince knows.
Yeah.
You have to understand, when I was a kid, you had Bruno, who was like Superman.
Oh, yeah.
And Backlund, who was, a legitimate, amateur champion.
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
And Pedro Morales. So it was always the super heavyweights going up against the face. This is what Vince grew up on. He's used to super heavyweights.
Yep, exactly.
So this is why Baron Corbin, who's a mediocrity, he's nothing special whatsoever.
Yeah.
I see guys at the Elks Lodge better than him.
Forget about it.
But that's why he's getting pushed. Vince knows from big guys. He likes them larger than life. But at the end of SummerSlam, it was like, it was no better or worse than the last pay-per-view, and it probably won't be any better or worse than the next pay-per-view.
Yeah.
They're interchangeable. You have those 1 or 2 or 3 quality matches. The rest is basically instantly forgettable.
Yeah.
And I'm just not that impressed. AJ Styles is an artist. I love AJ Styles.
He absolutely is.
Yeah.
I enjoyed during that match with AJ and Joe. I love seeing blood now because it's so rare and when it's not, and you can pretty much say with about 99% certainty, oh, that wasn't planned, that was an accident. And when he went up to his family, went up to his wife, and his wife's holding his daughter, and his daughter just adorably is like, "Daddy, you're bleeding."
Yeah, see,
it was so great to me.
Real.
And Samoa Joe is somebody who, he should have won the Universal title off of Brock at the pay-per-view they had last year in July, Great Balls of Fire.
Joe's
To
awesome.
me, he should have been Universal. He should have been Universal Champion at least once before they moved shows.
I think Vince is so crazy with the body image stuff that unless you're like, you have a 6-pack of abs and you're totally ripped, Samoa Joe's a big guy.
Well,
but that's not Vince's type.
Well, I listened to a lot of other wrestling podcasts, and Bruce Pritchard has one, and they had an episode on TNA, and they talk about Samoa Joe, and Samoa Joe actually had like a tryout with WWE very early on, like 10, 15 years ago. And, the co-host asked Bruce a question, what did Vince think about Samoa Joe? And Bruce said, Vince thought that Samoa Joe was a fat Samoan, and the co-host...
That's exactly what I just said.
The co-host response was...
They were more blunt than me.
The co-host response was, what the bleep was Umaga then?
Yeah.
And it's like, how is, and it's, I always make the joke, like
Umaga had the tattoos, so Vince probably saw that as marketable.
And I always tell people who I'm watching with, I'm like, so there's a Samoan family where every Samoan's related to other Samoans, and they're all wrestlers, and then there's Samoa Joe. Mm-hmm. Samoa Joe's the only Samoan who wrestles who's not related to other Samoans.
Okay.
And that to me, and Bruce literally said, Umaga was part of the family.
Right.
So
right, I got you.
That's but and it's silly to me too, because like you're saying, unless you have a 6-pack, to me it's Vince has to like get them. He can't just look at their track record and look at everything. Look at the NXT guys that really haven't worked out. And to me, it's just Vince looks at them and he doesn't get it. Yeah. He doesn't see it. And it's, why would you not put enough faith in your brother-in-law who was able to do all these things with him in NXT, but you don't get him, so he has to do X, Y, and Z to get himself back in your good graces. And I guarantee you, this is something that I'm sure Vince saw something in Samoa Joe when he was on Raw, but to me, I feel like they moved him to SmackDown to give him this kind of opportunity. And I think at some point, even though I think The Miz makes more sense for the story that they're telling with Daniel Bryan, I think at some point Samoa Joe's going to take that title off of Styles.
Interesting. Anyway, speaking of NXT, my point of contention is if they're capable of having shows that great, that was a great show.
Oh, it was, absolutely.
I don't understand why when you go to an NXT house show, it's nowhere near as good.
Yeah.
Ringside's $135. To me, a performer should always give 110%.
Yeah.
I've seen NXT live. They'll slap a 6-man tag team together, meaningless as the main event.
Mm-hmm.
Nothing on the shows I've seen have been over 3.25 stars.
Right.
So if they're capable of doing that much more, how about doing the same in front of a house show audience and even a TV audience? You can't tell me NXT TV is anywhere near as good as the takeovers.
No, week to week, it's especially the and I watch NXT week to week for the most part. I hate the NXT episodes that they have after the takeovers, where it's like aftermath and it's like 2 matches and then it's just like a recap of everything that happened at takeover. It's like, you seriously can't just like do an hour show before the takeover where you're just at the venue and setting up feuds and stuff. Why do I have to wait another week to watch the next set of feuds start up? And you're right, the key to NXT, which is ironic, we were complaining about before how they sort of rehashed the same things on the main roster. Ciampa Gargano, this is what, the 4th time that they're wrestling each other?
Every time.
And it's great every
time.
And they're somehow they're not really like, and they're doing callbacks to what they did. Ciampa's taking the matting off on the ringside. He's taking the canvas off the ring in the ring. They're doing all this stuff from previous matches, and it's so much better. Like, less is more with NXT. It's so crazy to me.
And Ciampa is, except for maybe Lesnar, the only guy that has legitimate heel heat. The fans hate this guy.
Absolutely.
And those are supposed to be smart fans.
And I love him.
He's great. He's great.
And I love him on social media, too. I don't know if you follow him or not, but he does this thing where he talks trash about guys, and he makes it look like he's tagging them, but he's not. Instead of using the @ symbol, he's writing @AT, and then their Twitter handle.
Yeah.
And it's like, it's so heelish to me, because it's like, but they're not going to see it. He's not tagging them in it.
He should be on the main roster wrestling Roman Reigns.
Oh my God,
he's great.
He really is. He's fantastic, and it's like he's like one of the only true heel that you have
exactly
in that company right now.
He walks out, the fans hate him. It's old school, totally old school.
Oh yeah.
And the final thing I wanted to discuss, All In. Everybody's hyped about this.
Absolutely.
I'm less hyped about it because I think Cody Rhodes is a very, very good wrestler. I don't think he's Terry Funk or Ric Flair or Kurt Hennig. And generally, Cody Rhodes will have his 3 to 4 star match, always satisfying. But he is not a Shawn Michaels. He is not on that level.
No.
And when people say, I'm going to buy those $300 Ring of Honor and New Japan ringside tickets, I'm kind of like, I don't think it's worth $300. I think it's great. I enjoy it. But it's $300.
I think the interesting thing about Cody, the reason that I like him so much, and I feel like this is really...
Don't get me wrong. I like him also.
Yeah, no, I don't think you don't. To me, the thing about Cody is he was a guy who was brought up through WWE. He didn't go to like a wrestling school and got trained by somebody else and then he went into the WWE. He was brought through WWE for his training. He went to OVW and FCW and all of the developmental stuff that they do, and he made it to the main roster that way. He didn't start as an indie guy and then get signed. So when somebody like that leaves WWE, you're like, well, what are they going to do? I mean, because everybody talks about how there's like the WWE way to wrestle and there's the, the not WWE
Right.
right to wrestle like they do on the indies. And I think the success that he's had and the ability to reinvent himself on the indies with that training that he had from WWE, I think that to me is the most impressive thing. Because, they kind of, it's like we were saying before, they and Daniel Bryan said this too, like they're supposed to have like the quote unquote ideal match where they have like 3 of these moves, 4 of these moves, and you're done. Or same 5 move syndrome as I've seen you say on Facebook with
Right.
a Nakamura or somebody like that.
Yeah, Nakamura's a shell of what he was.
Yeah. And that to me is the big thing about Cody is his ability to have completely reinvented himself on the indies. And if he ever goes back to WWE, it's going to be a top-level guy immediately. He's going to be working on top the moment he comes in.
I'm concerned that Vince is going to get nervous and offer Young Bucks and Cody and Kenny Omega obscene amounts of money.
Oh, absolutely.
And because I'm sure he's not happy about
Well,
the
that's the
Garden being
solution
sold
is buy
out.
the competition when he has the opportunity. He's not going to. And that's the silly thing to me, too. Vince doesn't want to pay money to run TV at MSG or run a pay-per-view at MSG, but somebody else can't because you're too cheap? Come on, it makes no sense. If somebody else wants to pay whatever they pay to because I have no concept of how that stuff works. I just from what I've heard, it's expensive to run
it's
TV.
like
there.
$500,000 between running a show, security,
Right.
and everything else.
Right.
And that's if it runs on time.
Right.
If a concert goes over 11 o'clock, then union overtime kicks in.
Yeah, and so because you don't want to pay that money, nobody else can. If New Japan and Ring of Honor want to do it, why do you care?
I wish New Japan and Ring of Honor nothing but success.
Me too.
But I think it's kind of in like almost like a frenzy today.
Yeah.
Where I don't think any wrestling match is worth $300.
No,
I'm sorry.
no.
I'm sorry. Same with concerts, and I've seen New Japan and Ring of Honor co-shows in New York.
Yeah.
And there was nothing that great. I'm sure they'll ramp it up for the Garden, but still, if you get anything touching a Okada, Kenny Omega, walk out happy, I just don't see that.
Yeah.
But we'll I guess time
especially
will tell.
now that Kenny's won the title off of Okada, unless you were somehow able to stretch that story out to this show, you're right. I don't think you're going to get something to that quality. And the crazy thing to me about those matches between Okada and Kenny, because I've watched, I believe, 2 or 3 of them, they're not doing anything all that crazy.
Yeah,
to me, they're just telling an old.
They're great matches.
and that's what makes it so great to me. It's like they're not, because you hear for somebody like me who really hadn't watched it, and I hear all these stories about how great these matches are, and I watch them, like they're not doing anything all that intricate. They're just telling a story. Okada's having an issue with his neck or something along those lines, and they just stretch it from there. And I'm like, this is old fashioned to me. This is old fashioned 80s wrestling where they're isolating a body part and they're just working it.
Except most of the guys in the 80s, with the exception of a Dynamite Kid or a Tiger Mask, couldn't do those moves.
Exactly. Yeah. So
anyway,
it's a
plug
nice
your
mix.
podcast.
The wrestling podcast about wrestling. In the process of reformatting it a little bit, but it is available wherever you find podcasts: iTunes, Podbean, Google Play, all those wonderful places.
There you go. And come back later in the show with Erica A. We'll talk some movies and TV and
Sounds
all of
good.
that good stuff.
Sounds good.
Okay, and when we come back, we're going to talk more wrestling with Mr. Big and Sir Christopher Michaels and Simply Splendid Bobby C. and all the boys. So don't you dare go anywhere. This is the Eclectic Mix, known as the Evan Ginzburg Show. And we're very shortly going to talk about this big show, Sir Christopher Michaels against Tony Atlas, September 8th, SWF Wrestling at the Boonton Elks Lodge. So don't you dare go anywhere, folks. We'll be right back. Okay, let me get these guys. Move over there. Maybe. All right, we are back with the Evan Ginzburg Show at villageconnectionradio.com. Joining us, Sir Christopher Michaels and Simply Splendid Bobby C. And in case you're not sure of who's whom, we have the Bobby C t-shirt. This is new. There you go. That's a beautiful shirt. It kind of matches the painting behind you.
Indeed. I feel very completed today. That's what I must say to you, Evan. And I am a big fan of Evan Ginzburg. I don't like too many people in this world. But I must say, Evan Ginzburg at least is a gentleman.
Thank you. Appreciate that. And Sir Christopher Michaels, you have a huge match September 8th at the Boonton Elks Lodge, 125 Cornelia Street in Boonton, New Jersey. And that's the SWF. And Simply Splendid will be on that show as well. I want you guys to both tell us about the big show.
Well, just to get right off the top of it, for Tony Atlas, let me borrow your foot here, Bobby.
Yeah.
Yes, you may.
Now, Tony Atlas, what I'm going to do to you is I'm going to prick my foot and I'm going to mash your face. I'm going to make you want to take your wrestling boots, dip them in bronze, and hang them up over the mantelpiece. Because, brother, it's time to take your Hall of Fame ring, shine it up, and just go to conventions. You could sit next to Virgil, okay, brother?
Wow.
But I'm gonna just make it easy for you. It's gonna segue you into the retirement home.
May I say something, Sir Christopher Michaels? Because, we are together in everything we do. And this man, I promise you, on September 8th, will defeat Tony Atlas. You know why? Because he said so, and I know he can. I am 100%. Look at those. Come on. Show him those muscles, Bill. Show him those bills.
It's funny he's saying that because he's issuing an open challenge for arm wrestling. And because I'm on the main event, I couldn't. But, see, he wants to have an arm wrestling challenge. So, I can't participate because, I want to be in top-notch shape for that. But if I was able to, I would step
And
up.
I would gladly accept because this is a real man. I don't want any girly men from the back on September 8th. What I'm looking for, no girly boys, no scrawny 100-pound weaklings. I'm looking for the big, strong guys like that. What's that idiot's name that goes to the $6 buffets and looks like a balloon on a Thanksgiving Day parade in New York City?
I believe that's Astro Morales.
Astro Morales, if you're watching this, you are a circus freak and you're a cheapskate. And I hope you're the one that accepts my challenge. What's that other old geezer's name? Magic.
Magic, yes, the buffet buster.
You are a buffet buster, Magic. You can accept the challenge. I don't care who it is. Or how about their SWF paperweight champion, TJ Marconi. I'm sorry, TJ Baloney. You are full of baloney. And let me tell you about the Simply Splendid one. I've become so popular they even came out with a trading card of myself. Look at this. I am growing. I am coming at you. And any fans that want this, let me know. I know I have my Simply Splendids out there. And all I have to say is that on September 8th, myself and Sir Christopher will dominate. And if you want me in your corner, Sir Christopher, I will gladly second you because you are Sir Christopher Michaels. You are a splendid individual indeed.
That card could be like a Mickey Mantle rookie card. That could be very valuable.
Yes, it can.
But doesn't he have to be dead first?
I don't want to be dead. I have a long way to live, Sir Christopher.
Well, I'm not saying the value increases usually, right? Didn't the Aretha Franklin album sales go through the roof after her death?
I don't want anybody cashing in on me, that's for sure.
That's right.
Not anytime soon. I understand what you're saying, Sir Christopher, so I don't take it in any bad way.
We want to thank SWF for becoming a sponsor of the show. And Sir Christopher, tell us about SWF. What makes this promotion special?
Well, one thing that makes the promotion special is Rob Fury, one of the co-owners, is one of the guys I broke in many years ago. He evolved from being a wrestler to developing this company, SWF Pro Wrestling Live Entertainment. Also another company called the Pro Wrestling After Dark, 21 and over crowd. But he's...
and what makes it 21 and over? What's different about that?
Well, think about the 21 and over, the adult content. So now when you've got the wrestler out there with the crotch grab and everything, it's appropriate there because it's 21 and over adult content. You don't have 12-year-olds.
Like Joey Ryan type.
That's his name. I couldn't think. I was thinking the crotch grabbing guy, and that's him, Joey Ryan.
That guy is so disgusting. Try to grab my crotch, I'll kick his teeth out.
I guess you have to come there with hand sanitizer or something. But you know, wrestling, as we've seen now with the calling it sports entertainment, it's taken on a lot of different varieties, I guess, so to speak. You have the death match people, the hardcore, the flippity flop.
But what is the actual niche that Wrestling After Dark will fill? Is it going to be bloodier, more violent, sexier? I mean, what are they looking at?
Probably all the above. They haven't had their first show yet. It's coming up soon, up in November. Actually, I have information. I'll have to dig it up off the ground once I pick my phone up, but I do have it in there. But it's gonna satisfy that crowd for some over the top stuff that you just don't want kids to see. I see one. I think a guy's gonna be dressed like a hot dog. So you could already see the
double entendres.
Yes, right. The double entendres. You can see all the semantics for, you know, wiener jokes or, you know, worse, you know, 21 and over crap. So you have that. But getting back to SWF, what I like about what's happening now is a good community with guys, get a great locker room of guys. It's like family there. Even Teddy Hart said it when he was there. He felt very comfortable.
Teddy Hart's tremendous. What an underrated wrestler. This guy's a world-class worker.
Really good guy, humble guy, nice guy. He said I look like I was in good shape. I said, hey, all right, I like that. The first thing the guy said, I'm like, hey, for my age. I said, if you saw me 4 weeks ago, you wouldn't have said that. But, you know, I was steady. Would have said I'm in a good shape for my age at that point.
So for the folk out there who aren't in good shape, how did you turn things around in 4 weeks?
Well, I give all that credit to Frankie Flo. If you don't know who Frankie is, not only is he a wrestler, he is the proprietor of Legends of Wrestling, right? Oh,
Legendary
action wrestling. Yes.
Where we wrestled last night.
And at 52 years old, he entered a bodybuilding contest and placed first in New Jersey.
Wow.
But he gave me a...
For those who don't know me, he looks like Superman, that guy.
Oh, he looks amazing. The guy, for his competition, he looks the part now. He don't need that singlet. He really should go back to where it's cut from the waist up because his physique is phenomenal. But the eating 5 meals a day, portioned out, with whether it's egg whites in the morning, steak, or chicken breast, everything. Not, you know, you could, I season it with things that are, you know, no salt or anything, but it's like a Mrs. Dash or something just to give it a little color. But everything just plain, eating more clean, more vegetables, more stuff. Getting that sauna suit on, 40 minutes of cardio every day on my Gazelle. That Tony Little guy, he had a good product. The thing works. But when I was done, I'm pouring sweat out. So it's getting the metabolism up with the routine and everything. I mean, it does work. I mean, when you see these guys that get into training, it's just that sacrifice part of it is not having the ice cream or not having the, if you like, Cheetos or whatever. You know, those sinful comfort foods and stuff. You got to stay away from that.
Right.
And believe it or not, I mean, you've seen the difference from watching me for a couple of weeks. So I've got a few more inches to go. I got to get down to a 30-inch waist.
So my next question would be: you're a veteran wrestler. You were ECW Tag Team Champion. You were in WWE. Why is there so much ageism in the wrestling business? Why wouldn't Vince hire you for something?
Well, I guess it could be ageism to a point. I mean, if you maintain your physicality, maintain this. I mean, look like you're just that satisfied with, living my 600-pound life. You have to do something. You can't just be sedentary. Well, okay, I'm no longer doing this. I mean, you could live healthier. Try to at least.
But you always hear in WWE, if somebody's in their 30s, there's less of a chance of getting picked up than if you're in your 20s.
Well, I guess it depends on what they're looking to do with you when they bring you in. I mean, you just got done with this movie 350 Days, and that was in a day of wrestling when it was a lot more rough on the body as far as the way, the technique, the style, the way these guys worked as compared to now. And I guess maybe you could say now it's a little more dangerous with some of the high risks and things that they're taking. So maybe they want them younger so they can mend when they destroy their bodies at a young age from doing these ladder matches and crap. It's hard to tell.
We are not young men. Your Simply Splendid one will be 47 years old next month. Now I'm going to get up. I want to show you boys in the locker room something. Okay? Look at this. You tell me that this looks bad at 47 years old? Okay? And it's going to get better because I'm about to take on the same routine. Okay? It doesn't stop when you're in your 40s. It stops when you want it to. And I, the Simply Splendid one, it will never stop. And I just want to say this to all the simpletons out there. If you're a smart wrestling fan, you will show up to Boomtown, New Jersey on September 8th and watch SWF Wrestling, a real wrestling company with real wrestlers. Old school wrestlers like myself and Sir Christopher and many others. I don't want to mention his name, but I have to because he is a legend in the business, Tony Atlas. Look what you have. Okay? But it never ends in the 40s. Age is a number.
There you go. There you go. An inspiration. We have gentlemen who are not kids, in tremendous shape, still wrestling and still entertaining folk. And set up the videos for us, Sir Christopher Michaels.
Well, a little bit about what Bobby C had to say. He'll give you a little more of his intensity, and you can see he's very, very pleased with what he sees. And somebody out there will get the splendid slap. Would it be Aspen Morales? I don't know. Will it be anybody else in that locker room? You can only find out, but you got to show up September 8th.
There you go. And Jim Savalio, engineer, owner of Village Connection. We're going to play the videos.
I am the Simply Splendid one, Bobby C. September 8th, I have been invited to be in the Royal Rumble. The winner of the Royal Rumble gets a shot at the SWF title held by TJ Baloney. Yes, you TJ Baloney. I am going to throw everyone over that top rope. I will be victorious. Bobby C, the Splendid one, will then take that belt off that big ape, TJ Baloney. That's a promise. I will see you all in Boomtown, New Jersey, September 8th. $998, $999, 1,000, 1,001. I am the Simply Splendid one, Bobby C. September 8th in Boomtown, New Jersey, I issue an open arm wrestling challenge. Keep the girly men in the locker room. Keep the scrawny little fellas in the back. I want some beefy looking guys like that circus buffoon, Astro Morales. I know you're a cheapskate. I know you eat at all those $6 buffets with your old geezer magic. He's another one if he wants to step up. Or how about the SWF paperweight champion TJ Baloney, which he's full of baloney. Look at these arms. You know what? Here's a second look. Look at them again and eat your heart out. September 8th, I am coming to Boomtown, New Jersey to issue an open challenge. Let's see who the real men are from the boys. See you later. Get out of my face.
I just shut that down. All right, we are back with the Evan Ginzburg Show at villageconnectionradio.com. I love those old school promos, and this is going to be a huge show, September 8th.
Huge.
You missed the birth of your mother and father. Don't you dare miss this. Sir Christopher Michaels against WWE Hall of Famer Tony Atlas. The Boonton Elks Lodge, 125 Cornelia Street, Boonton, New Jersey. And that is a 7 p.m. show, so nice and early for the kids. And come on out. And Simply Splendid Bobby C will be there as well. TJ Marconi, Steve Mack, Magic, EC Negro, and all your other favorites. So support the SWF. And Sir Christopher Michaels, tell us about Wrestling After Dark. When is that?
Actually, let me find it in my files here. Because I had a
Anything,
download of the calendar.
anything SWF related is the way to go. And just to let you know, I will be making a tour in the Dominican Republic in the end of September.
Wow.
Because wherever I go, I am splendid.
That's right. World Traveler. And what else you have coming up, Simply Splendid? What other shows?
Next Saturday night, I will be pairing for the Bronx Wrestling Federation at Darrow's Gym, 1123 Close Avenue in the Bronx. And many other things coming up. I will be with Build SWF the following weekend. My favorite company. Then I will be in the Dominican Republic at the end of the month in a town called Mocha.
Wow.
I think as far as I know, I might be wrestling that big, buffed up Santo Domingan Bronco International again.
Yeah, when Bronco walks down the street, you go, that guy's a pro wrestler. He's a big boy.
He's a big boy, but I can handle him.
Okay, Pro Wrestling After Dark premiere show will be November 9th in Vineland, New Jersey. The details will be following, and some upcoming shows will have some promotional videos, I'm sure.
There you go.
But like I said, I'll find one of the posters, but it does have quite a mix of people. Once you see their poster, you'll see a lot of the characters they have. Sonny Kiss is one of them.
Sonny Kiss is awesome.
Chris Banks would be one. Mm-hmm. Sandman, just to name a couple. But it's going to be quite packed. And also, like I said, a guy dressed up like a hot dog. So
you don't want to miss that.
Well, there might be a squirting mustard, and I'm sure there'll be some kind of an adult theme behind that. I'm certain.
When I go to a wrestling show, I want to see a guy dressed as a hot dog.
Only if there's one dressed as a hamburger, because there's got to be equality amongst the food.
We have Nick Commando off camera, off mic. Who's the guy in Ring of Honor? Cheeseburger. Cheeseburger. So we should have cheeseburger versus hot dog.
Plus you have pancakes on
pancakes
on the independent circuit.
So it'll be a come as you are picnic death match.
That's right.
Hot dog versus sandwich.
That's
hot dog a sandwich.
That's right.
Was dog a donut?
Next thing you have an ice cream sandwich in the ring.
While we're doing plugs, ProWrestlingStories.com for the best in pro wrestling history. I just wrote a nice piece on my buddy, the late, great Nikolai Volkov. And we have today at Village Connection Radio at the studios, 21 Walt Whitman Road. Val Venus will be here at 3 p.m. Correct, Jim?
Yep.
3 p.m. And then he'll be on Monty and the Pharaoh show directly following the... From 3 to 5, they're going to do an autograph signing and the Monty and the Pharaoh radio show. So come on down.
Ladies.
Yeah, come on down, get autographs, photos. Val Venus right here, VillageConnectionRadio.com. 21 Walt Whitman Road. Come in off of West 23rd Street, and you won't get lost like Mr. Big did. Coming up next, Mr. Big. So you guys stick around, and we'll talk more wrestling.
Okay, I have the upcoming SWF dates.
Yeah, plug them.
Okay, we'll go through them quickly. September 8th, Old School in Boonton, New Jersey, where I will be the main event. September 15th, Fight Night, Round 1 in Barnegat, New Jersey. November 3rd, Battleborn, Jackson, New Jersey. November 17th, Extreme Fallout in Bayville, New Jersey.
Be a good show.
So keep your eyes peeled. Evan Ginzburg Show will have details for all these shows, or you could go SWF Live Pro Wrestling Entertainment on Facebook. Check them out. Give them a like. Share it with your friends. But come to the show. Because without you guys, there's no us.
There's no Simply Splendid without the fans, even though I don't like anybody out there. I think everybody's ugly and they are simply not as splendid as I. Remember, I am better than you.
And if you look at first row ringside, there's some truth to that. There you go.
Oh, yeah.
There you go.
What's the average IQ of a wrestling fan?
Glazed donut.
There you go. I like you, Evan
There you
Ginzburg.
go.
You think the way I do.
Well, there was a guy yesterday that was coming at me and poking at me, and the guy was missing his 3 bottom teeth. So I grabbed the top rope of the wrestling thing and I asked him if he flossed his teeth with this.
Yeah.
And, the guy's calling me a loser. I'm looking at the guy. Looks like he spends all day doing scratch-off tickets at the 7-Eleven, smoking Lucky Strikes and drinking the coffee.
He looks like one of those bums at the OTB in front of the subway station on Queens Boulevard.
Wow. It's good you guys respect your paying customers. Yeah.
Well, we do what we can. We got to give back.
That's right.
Give back to the slow.
That's right. And when we come back, we're going to have Mr. Big, wrestling manager extraordinaire, joining the conversation. And later in the show, we're going to talk film and TV with Erica A., media expert. So don't go anywhere. This is the Eclectic Mix, known as the Evan Ginzburg Show. We will be right back, folks.
Shove over that corner. Alright, that's that rest.
Another shot to make it strong, sober night to shake it off, another night to make it on. Feels so exciting, a hot kiss could start a fire. Whatever it is can make you high, and I'll mess when it's inside. It's so inviting, over and over. I want you all
All right, we are back with the Evan Ginzburg Show. We are joined by Mr. Big Wrestling Manager Extraordinaire. He's got his USA Pro Wrestling shirt on.
This is vintage, brother. This is as old as some of your underwear.
That's right. That's right. And they have a huge show September 15th. Tell us about
I'm
that.
looking forward to it. Let me tell you something. There's some guys that you wouldn't expect would be on the show, got somehow weaseled their way on the show, sold a lot of tickets, which is not a bad thing. I mean, I don't put that down, but they earned their way onto the show. They never did a show before in their life like this one. Okay, and now they're going to get to see what it's like. Guys like El Gordo. Well, no, I mean El Guapo, Lou Nova. Okay, El Gordo, that's who he is, okay? But he never seen a show like this, and he's done some good shows. Okay, does Puerto Rico. You're going to see, there's a lot of people going to see. You're going to see, but one guy you're going to see is the Meadowlands Monster, which I always tout him.
And how big is this guy?
He's 7 foot tall. He's now nearing 350 pounds. And why? Because he's muscling up. He realizes that even though his arms are pretty big, just natural, he's got to build it up because it don't look nice for a guy 7 foot tall to have arms like most people's calves. Now it has to look like their thighs.
Right.
All right, which is fine, But he's in shape. Four sport athlete. He's no joke. He's no kid, but he's not an old guy like me. Okay, and I love the guy, so I tout him because he deserves the work, and he learns and he learns and he learns. Soaks up this shit. He soaks it up, and he's going to make his debut with me as his manager and advisor on September 15th, 435. 12, 435, 13, whatever, 435 Brook Avenue. You'll find it. It's in Deer Park. If you don't find it, you're a schmuck because it's all over the fucking internet.
Like this place.
You can't find it. And if your GPS don't work, then, fuck you. Go back to Walmart, return it, pull your panties up so you don't have to see the crack of your ass while you're returning it, and get a new GPS.
Wow, that's some promo. Yeah, if you can't find it, you're a schmuck.
Yeah, really. What else? You can't find the place. It's all over the freaking internet, and you got things that telling you how to get there. I gotta tell you something. The GPS in my car, she's an annoying bitch. But but one rule we got. I gotta say yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am. She, just like my ex-wives, my late wives, said yes, ma'am.
Yeah.
And the Iron Shiksa, my longtime and current paramour. The Iron Shiksa.
Okay.
Love that one. That's her name, the Iron Shiksa. I love her.
And one thing about Frank Goodman, this guy promotes. When there's a show coming, it's coming.
Brother, 6 months in advance.
That's right.
You talk about, what you do, right? But 350 days. You see that advertisement 350 days a year. Okay? Frank Goodman beats you.
Yeah.
Because he's doing it 3 times a day, 4 times a day. A deluge. It's like when you go, there's a rip tide, rip current, right? And you can't, that's it, you get caught in that. You're going with it unless you learn how to swim.
And the other thing is, it's a loaded show. Tell us some of the names on that show.
Sandman is on the show fighting Chuckles the Clown. That's the one match I can remember. Dan Moff is there. Jesse Neal is there. James Storm is there. Raven is there. Who else is there? Who else help me on this one?
The Raging Bull, Manny Fernandez.
Manny Fernandez, of course. And see what? Now, good. Thank you. This will give me a little segue for a change, a tangential segue into something good. I'm going to mention the guy's name once, and only once, and you're going to say to me, who? I don't know who this guy is. And you'll be right. Rock Richards.
I honestly don't know who he is.
You didn't know who he was. You only know because you see it on the internet, right? That guy in the corner don't know who it is. That schmeck over there, he don't know who it is. So, right. So now that's the last time we got to mention this guy's name because I'm going to get him over. First of all, here's the real story in a nutshell for the Marks versus Pro Wrestlers who I'm bringing into your audience. Okay, these guys are good. Okay, they're now the elite Wrestling Uncensored. That's their group called now because they got screwed up on Facebook. But anyway, and I know you don't know who they are either, but it doesn't matter. They're a good audience. They listen to some of the stuff you do, and you eventually will see stuff that they put out because really they're like me. They want to weed out some of the crap in wrestling. The wannabe, never was, never will be's, And this piece of garbage, whose name is not, that's not his real name. That's not his real name. If you think it is, you're a schmuck too. Okay? When he was offered an opportunity of a lifetime, now I'm starting at the end, he's offered an opportunity of a lifetime to face Manny the Bull I've worn many belts, beaten many guys, worked with the biggest and the best in the business for 30, 40 years. Fernandez. Okay, got a chance to work because Manny saw something in him. Said, you know, this interest. If it started out as a joke, his guy was like a trash bagger. That's what they were doing. They selected, not a victim, but they selected a person of interest to zero in on and try to weed him out. And he held his own. Son of a bitch, the guy held his own verbally or you know, on the keyboard he held his own. Some pictures that looked okay, some promos that were terrible, but he basically held his own and piqued their interest enough. When they gave him a push, what does that mean to you? Gave him a push. That would mean like, you know, Vince decides he wants Orton to hold the belt for 400 days or whatever it is. I don't mean like that. They gave him a push, meaning they're going to mention his name as much as they can and get him into any place they can. Eric Bischoff said, "Who the hell is Rock?" Oh, I said I wasn't going to say the name. Why is he such a piece of garbage? Got all these people to say it. Okay, why? To get the guy over, to get him noticed. Why? I don't know. It tickled their fancy. Okay, now you got the gist of the story. So what does he do? This wannabe, never was, never will be piece of garbage takes the match. First of all, he's not a trained wrestler. Any pictures you've ever seen of him have been in the backyard or in a parking lot, literally, not figuratively, literally, in a parking lot or a backyard, 12 people there, all hillbillies. His town, where he's from, I think West Virginia, that's the town where they named the toothbrush. Because if it was any other town that thing was invented, it would have been called a teeth brush.
Toothbrush is a good thing.
Yeah, but any other place it would have been called a teeth brush. Whew. I mean, you're wearing a hat. You better wear a hat.
Yeah.
Catch that joke.
Yeah.
But the whole point.
I got it.
Whole point of this rant is that a guy, wasn't even. Listen, there was a kid, Demetrius Styles, who pretended like he was somebody and whatever. But he said, at least he posted, "I am not a wrestler. I am not a pro. I'm a fan and I'm into it." This guy says he's a wrestler. How dare you? How dare you, fuck? How dare you? Now I'm mad. Because it occurred to me, you called yourself a wrestler. You fucking fuck.
The important thing is you like him.
Yeah, I like him. Let me tell you something. If he stepped in dog shit, the dog shit would be wiping him off of it.
But bum.
Okay? No, he's original.
Yeah.
Johnny Valiant would have appreciated
That's
that one,
right.
you know?
That's
Okay? Right. But the point I'm trying to make, without taking up too much more time on this guy, it's really to eliminate people who think they're going to get over on people. First of all, he did fool Manny Fernandez. Manny, I'm sorry to say, I got to tell the truth. He fooled you. Because he fooled me and he fooled everybody into believing he actually had some training. But that was all like backwards. He got the push and everybody was digging what he did. We'll look forward to this. They turned into a lumberjack match. They're all going to get involved. It was really hyped up. There had to be 50, 60 tickets bought.
And then he canceled.
For that, just to see that.
Yeah.
And they were going to buy it anyway. But those guys bought the whole first row. I sold the whole
Well, they'll
row.
still see a good show.
I managed to get a whole row sold by myself also. I mean, I engineered it. You know, I'm a procurer. I'm a money extractor. But the whole thing is, this guy should never have taken the match. His girlfriend or wife, Cindy, told him, I'll tell you the truth. I know I wasn't there, but you could bet your ass on this. Never have to worry about having a place to sit. This kid, this young man, whatever, this guy was never a wrestler. He lucked into some attention. He managed to get himself a match. Now the culmination is his girlfriend told him right off the bat, you're not going there. Because you know what? Number one, you're not getting paid. Number two, even if you're not getting paid, even if it was 5 miles away, that would be okay. But you're not giving up a day's pay. You're not paying for 400 miles each way and paying for gas tolls.
How do you know all this?
Because I know. Trust me, I know. Because I know. Because you don't do something. His girlfriend is smart, or his wife is smart. I mean, Iron Shiksa is that kind of woman. That's why she clued me in the way a woman thinks. That a woman said, hey, idiot, you're not going. Tell them right now you're not going. Because you're not. And he says, yes, dear, I know I'm not going, but shh. And he basked in the fucking sunlight for a couple of months. And then 3 weeks before the show, I'm sorry to disappoint everyone. Like he was a big shit and everybody was really expecting it anyway. It was all a joke. but a good joke. The boy made some money for Frank, and he didn't lose the money that this guy's off. Because now EC Negro will get his ass kicked, his fat fucking unkingly ass will get kicked by Manny Fernandez. But this fucking idiot gave up an opportunity because he is something that he could have been in the limelight for a few minutes and had film to show people for the next 20 years. He could have showed a minute at a time of the match and the promos, and he would. Anyway, I'm done ranting on him. He's a piece of garbage, and the Marks versus Pro Wrestlers, who are now the Elite Pro Wrestling Uncensored, and also partially Pro Wrestlers versus Marks Uncensored, no hurt feelings allowed. Okay, all those groups, all those guys, I've now buried this fucking mutt. Okay, and that's it. I'm done talking about him.
Would you like me to face
How
him?
you doing?
Yeah.
Would you like me to take this guy on for you?
No, I don't want you to dirty your hands. I don't want you to get the stench of that failure on you. You're too good for that. I mean, you're not that good, but you're too good for that. I'm just kidding. You are.
I got you.
You are that good. I know you are. I'd rip you.
Let me turn this positive. Some of the best nights of my life were going to Philly to the NWA, seeing Manny Fernandez with Ric Flair, the Horsemen, Midnight Express, Rock and Roll Express.
You're talking about classic wrestling.
That's right.
Guys who really pounded it out.
Manny Fernandez, tremendous.
He still could go.
Yeah.
Listen, just because the middle gets a little bigger, that don't mean anything. That it's the middle is also holds the heart, and he's got a fucking heart. That's pretty damn
I've been
big.
going to wrestling for 44 years. I tell people those were the best shows I ever saw. The NWA, late 80s,
There's
in
nothing-
Philly,
there's
Baltimore.
nothing
Something I love and something
Terry Funk, Ric Flair, I
Yes.
Quit match. I was there live. Unbelievable.
Yes.
And Manny Fernandez is underrated. That guy was great.
He
Great.
still is tremendous.
Guys,
If you
I
watch
haven't
when he
seen him in a
tag
while,
team
but
with Rick Rude,
Oh, yeah.
you're talking
Oh, yeah.
the days when he was the
Watch
young
him.
days.
you watched him drop down, leapfrog. I'm
The guy
looking
could
for
work.
Gee
The
whiz.
guy-
Me
the guy could
personally,
work.
I would have taken on that opportunity to wrestle someone like the Raging Bull Manny Fernandez. That would have been an honor. An honor.
And he was a big boy. He moved great for, he wasn't a lightweight.
Listen, there's
Yeah,
a reason
yeah.
they call him the Raging Bull. You know, they didn't call him the Raging Pussycat. You know what I'm saying? They didn't call him, the feathered peacock.
It's interesting to me, like sometimes history is less kind to certain people. For example, John Tolis was as great a heel as ever walked the face of the earth, but there's not a lot of footage. Guys like Waldo Von Erich, you don't hear their name as much.
because-
Tremendous heels.
About the cat, Ernie Ladd.
Ernie Ladd, you still see a lot of them on the internet, though. Ernie Ladd was unbelievable. Unbelievable.
One of the best
but Manny
heels ever.
Fernandez, you should hear his name more. Tremendous.
In the day, it was a different kind of press. They showed the red, they showed the blood and the gore on the wrestling magazines, and they sold out. Newsstands sold out the wrestling magazines. People were buying everything from Pro Wrestler Insider to
The Wrestler.
Grappler, The Wrestler, Pro Wrestling. But I can't remember all the names,
Pro
but I
Wrestling
had a lot of
History.
them. Okay, I gave them to my son. They're in the trunk, in the bottom of the trunk.
There you go.
Okay, but it was different. The publicity was different. Today, a lot of the stuff that people put out, people would be offended by. They'd have to have on Facebook, for example, they have to have a thing that says, "Oh, if you want us to uncover this violence, please
Yeah.
press the button,
Right.
and then make sure you have a towel, some toilet paper, a hanky, and some and a first aid kit near you."
Yeah.
Okay, what the fuck? A safe space? It's wrestling. What do they think they're coming to see? You know what I mean? And but it's publicized differently.
By the way, you're not allowed to curse on this show. No, I'm kidding. I'm kidding.
Oh fuck! I said shit. Oh shit! I said fuck.
Yeah.
That's an old joke. That wasn't mine. I steal them too.
He steals from the best.
I do.
What else you have coming up?
Well, Gino's got some stuff planned. He hasn't given me dates yet. But ECPW, you should always keep your eye open for them. It's the most made fun of company. That's a terrible way to say it. It's a company that's made fun of the most. It's been ridiculed the most that I know of.
But successful
For
and
no
long
reason, for no
running.
reason.
And
Really, he didn't let a guy with AIDS wrestle, or a guy with a needle hanging out of his arm wrestle, or some guy with his finger up his ass and his finger up his nose at the same time. He didn't do that. Okay, if something happened and he didn't know about it, if he found out about it, believe me, it ain't going to be repeated. I ain't defending the guy. I don't sleep with him. I don't eat, Sunday brunch with him. But fuck, I worked with the guy for a long time. I know him a very long time. I remember the days when that chubby son of a gun worked. It was like the most letters. ICCCW, IWCCW. 14 fucking letters in his name. I mean, I remember he looked pretty good though. He would have made a good tag team partner with Salvatore Bellomo. They would have made a good Italian tag. Oh, Italian! I can't say Italian because I'm not Italian.
Yeah. Any social media you like to plug?
Facebook. Listen, you go to Mr. Big Pro Wrestling. It's real simple. Capital M, small. I got this down now. I finally figured out how to do this. Capital M, small R, with a period, like Victor Borga.
Yeah.
The period in there.
Victor Borga.
You
You're showing your age.
Victor Borga. You don't know who he is, but if you look up Borge, Victor Borga, you'll laugh your ass.
That was a Sesame Street skit, wasn't it?
That was more than that. The guy was great, though. The guy was great. But that's another story. We'll talk about it another time.
I watch reruns of the Tonight Show sometimes, and I'm looking at the entire panel. I'm like, they're all dead.
Yeah, they're all. That's exactly right. Every one of them, but they were all great, and they're all still drawing better than the people on the Jimmy Fallon show.
Actually, I was surprised. Norm Crosby's still alive. He's 90. He was on the Tonight Show the other day.
Yeah, and he's still and he probably sounds the same.
Yeah.
Even with dementia, he sounds the same. No, he don't have dementia. Anyway, it's Mr. Big, M-R, capital M, small R, period, capital B, small I, small G, then a dash, then Pro Wrestling. You'll find it on Facebook. And if you want to find me, because there's other stuff, you look for John Wall 1, JONWOHL 1. Oh, he told you his real name. Yeah. Because what do you think? My mother named me Mr. They were holding me there. Picture this. Have it. Picture the scene. It's all them years ago, right? You know, they had candles lit to make sure the place was lit. You know, they kept the elephants back. They kept the animals back, right? And now, my mother gives birth to me. They go, oh, what a cute little baby. Oh, let's call him Mr. Big, you fucking idiots. They didn't name me Mr. Big.
I just assumed that was your real name.
She named me John, and she made a point to keep the H out of the name. Now, when the nurses came in and they, she did the thing with the birth certificate, she said, no, get the H out. Now, my mother was less than 5 feet tall, I told you. She was like 4'11" or so, and had a mouth like a guy that was 6'6". Okay, like Randall McMurphy, like in the play,
right.
Not like Nicholson in the movie, but like the redhead in the play. She had a voice like that, and she would say. So they would leave it in a hurry because they thought that she was being polite and telling them to get the hell out of the room. Maybe she wasn't. She was saying get the H out of the name. She wanted it to be different. She wanted it to be Jon. So that's the about it. JONWOHL with the numeral 1 after it. And you'll recognize it's because I'm wearing a red hat or I got this Facha de Brute. Okay, it's not the kid's face or any of them other guys.
Okay. And when we come back, Mike Monty from Monty and the Pharaoh will join us. He's going to promote Val Venus and Bob Orton coming shortly to Bill's Connection Radio.
For that so he can say, so I can hear the guy go, hello, ladies. I sound like him now, right?
We'll be right back, folks, in just a second. The Evan Ginzburg Show, The Eclectic Mix, VillageConnectionRadio.com. Yeah, come join us.
Get big.
All right, we are back, and Mr. Big, we are back. So we are joined by Mike Monty from Monty and the Pharaoh, and he is a radio show host, a wrestling radio show host here at Village Connection Radio, Thursdays, 8:05 p.m., and you have a very special guest coming today. Tell us about that.
Val Venus will be in Rockstar Studios from 3 to 3:45 with a quick 45-minute interview, and then he'll be signing autographs from, I guess, about 3:45 to 4:30.
Okay. And tell us a little about Val Venus's history.
Val Venus, in his heyday, was a WWE superstar, WWF superstar, Attitude Era, and kind of transitioned a little past the Attitude Era, so it was a pretty big name for a short time, right?
Let me tell you something, he's still a big name.
Yeah.
Let me tell you something, he's got a business,
Yeah.
A business I'm particularly fond of, which if New York would progress to the state where it should be in that particular subject, I'd get involved with him.
Well, it's interesting. I think we do have a CBC. Is it CBC? The oil for
CBD oil.
CBD oil is one of our
They got
sponsors.
that, but I'm saying, but when you get into the not to get past the edibles and past the to me that's crap. It's if you're going to use the herb the way it's supposed to be used, it should be burned the way it happened in the first place. They threw some branches in the fire because they said, this will burn. What do you think? They knew they were going to. They can't figure out how to go. What the difference between a rock and a potato? So they're going to marijuana should be smoked in paper. No, you do it naturally. They threw it on a fire. They took the seeds. Probably were big at the time. They ate the seeds for food. And they realized that
You sound like you have some knowledge and experience with this.
I have a lot of knowledge.
What do you think they were putting in the peace pipe in the first place? Why do you think they called it a peace pipe after you were done? Who wanted to fight?
So
they just didn't have Pizza Hut at the time.
The hemp business,
Pizza
the rope
Teepee,
business, was a byproduct of not cannabis sativa, but it was another kind of cannabis that guys were smoking the chaff or whatever with what they weren't using for the rope. They were smoking those fibers and getting the buzz off it because there was a certain amount of THC in it, even though it wasn't cannabis sativa or cannabis indica or any of those freaking Latin names.
Okay.
I'm not an expert at it, but is it the CBD oil that's like saving lives, or is it the THC? What is it?
It's the product of the. I'm not going to profess to know this. It's what I can tell you is from common sense.
Yeah.
Is that they're taking the plant, they're taking the essence of the plant, whether it's they're taking the oils from the THC or the oils from whatever it is, they're taking the chemical out of the plant and creating an oil with it.
Okay.
That's now you can ingest, in a number of different ways, or in edibles, and it makes people better in a lot of things. They don't even know how much. And the truth is, even if it helps your brain, and your brain fixes the body, understand? Maybe that's what it is that the marijuana or the product of the marijuana fixes the brain. And the brain says, you're not sick. What is that shit? Hey, go down there, red corpuscles, white corpuscles. You know what to do. The brain knows. I'm simplifying it for the children out there that are watching.
You'd be a great science teacher.
My sister wanted me to be a teacher.
All right, class, close the door. Get your straws out.
All right, class, get out your bongs. No, that's a vaporizer, goddammit. Get out your bong.
And Mike Monty also has Bob Orton Jr., one of the all-time greats. I used to go to Garden to see Piper and Orton headline. It was like a tornado hit the ring, and like 10 minutes later, you could breathe again. That's how great those guys were.
Yeah, absolutely. Growing up watching Cowboy
that's September
Bob
8th.
Yeah, that's September 8th. I started watching wrestling back during the Bob Backlund era, and obviously saw Bob Orton against Bob Backlund numerous times, and then he became Piper's bodyguard and moved into that whole transition. So another great hero.
But they stick with the cast for
with the cast
5
forever,
years.
right?
He went longer with that than I think that Mike Sharp actually.
Yeah.
He did.
Because Mike Sharp, after a while, they took whatever cast off and he went back to just the guard.
In the old days, injuries healed slower.
Oh, slowly.
That's right.
Because they didn't have the kind of treatment they have today.
Lanny Poffo said to me that he feels Bob Orton Jr. is one of the all-time greatest workers. all time.
I wrestled
I did
him in
that
ICW
superplex.
before it became ICW, CCW.
And how do you rate him?
I thought it was a great match I had with him. It was when I was still very young in the business. He taught me how to open beer bottles with the Bic lighter, so that was a good road trick.
Yeah.
But I was in a ski chalet upstate New York. It was great. But I got the superplex on the top rope, and it was a great learning experience. Because I was breaking in with getting wrestling guys like him, Don the Rock Morocco, Paul Orndorff, Mick Foley,
Orndorff, I just talked to him recently.
Ivan Koloff, Jake Snake. Just like the '80s guys. Most of the '80s guys you saw, those are the guys I broke in.
I tell people that Ivan Koloff is a top 5 or top 10 all-time heel, and it's a disgrace that WWE didn't put him in a Hall of Fame because they knew he was dying. And Ivan Koloff headlined the Garden 13 times and won the belt back when it meant something. And he was a great wrestler. It wasn't just a great gimmick; he was a great wrestler.
He was the one heel that captured people's attention all the time. I mean, listen, guys had their moments. It's like a roller coaster. I like this guy. Even though he's a bad guy, I like him. I want to see it. I don't mean I like him. I want to see somebody kill him, or I want to see somebody kick his ass. And it goes up and down, up and down, up and down, But that guy, man.
He was a machine in the ring.
Consistently, everybody wanted to see Americans beat him up.
And he was great in the ring. It wasn't just a gimmick. The guy was tremendous. Tremendous wrestler.
In the ring.
Evan, you should share. We were looking at the encyclopedia Thursday when Lanny was here. You should share with everybody your thoughts as you were going through. The encyclopedia.
I'm looking at the encyclopedia, and you have there's Stephanie McMahon with 1 or 2 pages, and then you have some all-time great wrestler with a fraction of a page, and it's like my blood pressure was skyrocketing.
How many paragraphs did they give to Abe Coleman?
I don't know. There's a lot of people.
You know who I'm talking about?
Yeah. The Hebrew strong
Hercules.
Yeah,
why? Because we're Yids. That's why. Because we're Landsmen. So I could
that's right.
say that. I get that. You can't see that,
but you were looking at. I think Jack Swagger had a pretty maybe a half page or a quarter of a page.
And then Waldo Von Erich's this
Waldo
big, or Spiros Arion.
That I don't get. I don't
because
get
they want to probably...
Talking to the mic.
I'm sorry. They probably want to, basically feed the new fans of today. But the new fans of today, sorry guys, you don't know what real wrestling is. 80s to me was real wrestling. 70s, and I'm from the Bob Backlund era myself. I started watching on Channel 9 when I was a kid, growing up in Queens, New York. Came on Channel 9 twice on the weekends, one in the morning, one at midnight. That was the real deal. Not like these flippity-flop guys you see now that you go to have these... What was that show we were on, the three of us, a while back?
We don't want to mention that name, but for that
kick
that
pads,
guy is...
straight-up kick pads, 500-pound guys putting themselves over at the end of the show. And Mr. Biggs, the one that came up to me, goes, Bobby, you're one of the few people in here I could count on my hands that have a real set of wrestling gear on. You have wrestling boots. Kids, if you're going to get into business, invest in yourself. That's why I'm here today. That's why I have this. All right? I have, T-shirt. Invest in yourself.
That's right.
That's how you're going to get out there. That's how people are going to notice who you are. Bottom line.
It's common sense. If you were opening a butcher shop, you would go around to your friends and neighbors and get flyers. Hey, listening, I'm opening a place on the corner. I'm going to be doing this. You put it out there because unless you get it out there, no one's going to know. And self-promotion is exactly what it is. You got to be shameless about it because it's the squeaky wheel that always gets the attention. Not the guy that's just counting on, my name recognition ought to get it. Wrong answer. Sorry for playing our game, but no. That's not the way it goes. Promote yourself. Because unless you have a whole team of people pushing you and promoting you, if you have a publicist doing it for you, then who else is going to do it?
People know that on September 8th at the Boonton Elks Lodge, Chris Michaels is wrestling Tony Atlas. People know that on September 15 at the NYWC Sportatorium, Frank Goodman's USA Pro featuring Mr. Big.
And they know when I come in, I'm coming in gear. Look, I wear a suit. That's my gear, but it's a suit, man. I could get into a fight for an hour and a half, a fist fight, out in a parking lot with bricks or out underneath the bridge somewhere, and come back and shake off the dust and this suit will be fine. Okay, I wear shoes with tack soles on them because I don't want to slip around in the ring. Okay, I wear proper gear. And when I did wrestle, the few times that I had to slap a couple of guys around and also let the public know, hey, I know what I'm doing in the ring, I wore proper gear. I wore a singlet. My fat ass, I was really fat then too. Oh, I looked terrible. I mean, I really did. I looked like 10 pounds of shit in a 5-pound bag.
Wow.
Okay, but I did it because that's what you do. You buy real boots. You buy real gear. When you were talking, the analogy you were making was almost right. Not when you buy a butcher shop. How about when you're working in a butcher shop? Shouldn't you come in with an apron? Shouldn't you be wearing boots and not sneakers that where if you drop a knife, you cut your foot, you wear steel-toed boots? So you come in with the proper gear for your fucking job, you stupid little bastards. Yeah. That's what you do. You come dressed for the job. My son's working for sanitation now. He got his gear, shows up for work, sticks around, learns, does more than he's supposed to, more than he's getting paid for to learn. These guys don't.
This is a public service announcement from Mr. Big.
So Mr. Big, when you go to these events and you see some of these guys not wearing their gear, do you sit them down and try to help them?
I take them to the side and say, what are you doing? Unless they're doing it for 10 years, and then I laugh and I say, they must have been paying something to get in here. It ain't my show, I don't care.
Okay.
I'm not going to educate everybody, and one thing I don't do is cast pearls before swine. That's an expression I grabbed years ago, and I love it. Yeah. I do not do that ever. If I'm going to impart my wisdom, if I'm going to give the benefit of my tutelage and guidance, my vast knowledge and experience to steal from Lou Albano, okay, but it's mine now, that whole shtick that I just spewed out. If I'm going to give them the benefit of me, Mr. Big, they better be fucking worth it. Because if they're not, I ain't doing it. Why would I? Take a guy like Chris Craven. You know what I'm talking about.
Yeah.
Okay. Nice young man. Most respectful, and it's like he's learning his way in the business now, even though it's a lot of years later. But that's his own story. But something like him, I impart every time I see him. I give him something. Give him something to help him get better, help his gear get better, help his shtick get better, help his gimmick get better. Why? Because I like him. Now, I don't have to love his gimmick, but I have to love the guy, you understand? And help make his gimmick better, because that's the gimmick he wants. He wanted to change his gimmick, I help him change the gimmick. Same with anybody.
Right.
I support the guys who are worth supporting, and I disregard the rest, because why get him over? Like that guy we were talking about earlier. Okay, I ain't gonna ever mention his name again, because, man, you don't fucking deserve it. Mm-hmm. You and your partner, you deserve it because you guys put on a great show.
Well,
Evan deserves it because he puts on a great show.
Thank you.
Savali deserves it because he sits and keeps his fucking mouth quiet and makes sure that the sound goes out, that the camera's on me when it's supposed to be on me. Listen, I know this ain't the Mr. Big Show, and I know I take over when I walk in, but I don't really care. You know why?
Still waiting
because you're Mr. Big.
Because you invited me. As a matter of fact, we're here. Look at
We're still waiting for the Mr. Big Show.
Listen, here, Frank, fuck you.
Wow.
September 15th.
Wow.
All right?
Thank you.
You give me the money later. No, you won't give me the money. You don't have to give me money. I'm giving that to you, and you don't like it, Frank. You know what to do. You can yell at me like you usually do. What are you going to do? He's going to beat me up. He's not going to beat me up. He's not going to waste his time doing that 22-inch arms on him. I got 22 legs. Don't worry about it.
Anyway, this is the Mr. Big Show at Village Connection Radio.
There you go.
And
There you go.
one more time, quick plug Val Venus.
Val Venus today from 3 to 3:45.
I'm getting that mental image out of my head.
Is he going to get here early, or is he going to come here like usual?
No, he'll be here on time.
No,
He'll be probably like 2:50, 2:45.
Bad choice of
Hang out.
words. I don't know.
I may even stick around for that.
Please
You know
do.
why? Because I like you.
Oh, thank you.
Do it.
And then he'll be signing autographs from 3:45 to about 4:30. And then we've got Cowboy Bob Orton Jr., which I'm super excited about, right? September 8th.
An all-time great.
All-time great.
Yeah.
And again, I'm still recovering from the Lanny Poffo interview. I'm still
90 minutes, 10,000 views.
Unbelievable. Still
10,000
recovering from
views.
these two gentlemen's interview, which was unbelievable. One of my favorite interviews, if not my favorite.
Mike, you almost got him to cry, too.
It's close.
Wally cried, but you didn't get around.
And then we had, Greg Diamond Valentine, which was just unbelievable.
Yeah.
So, again, I know I'll speak for my partner, too. We feel blessed to be part of the studio. We feel blessed to be friends with Evan and the friends that we gained also. I mean, this is an unbelievable dream for us. we don't claim to be professional wrestlers. We don't.
You look more like a professional wrestler than a lot of the professional wrestlers, right?
Well,
He's wearing sunglasses
like
to hide the tears that are welling up in his eyes as he speaks.
But it's always an honor to step in here and have this opportunity, and we never take anything for granted. We speak all the time, and we say we are lucky. So whether people hate us or like us, and whatever, it doesn't matter. We feel lucky regardless.
Don't worry, your haters are your biggest fans.
That's right.
Your haters will write a 3-page manifesto saying how much they hate your guts. The people that like you will just say, "Hey guys, a lot of luck with the show. God bless."
How about they don't say that? How about they click like? They click like.
Click a like.
The ones that hate you spend the time to write all the kinds of shit.
Yeah.
And check spelling
and
errors.
Tune into your show every week. Oh, let's hear where he's going to
Just
fuck
rip
up this
them up
week.
some more.
And you don't. They wait for it every week.
Doing
You
radio
don't.
is one thing that keeps me sane.
Yeah.
Right, Mike?
Absolutely. Yeah.
You got to get more
Out of-
haters.
out of my regular-
That's your problem. You got to get more haters.
I don't need more haters.
can't-
I got
you know
enough.
what, you
I
can't-
got enough debating
You
politics.
can't hate this guy. You just can't.
I know,
No matter
that's
how
it.
The haters make me thrive. Look at all the stuff you see me do on Facebook. I do
Talking to the
runs.
mic.
I do runs across the George Washington Bridge. I run. I put it on live so that you can see, hey, my God, what's this guy doing? One thing about me, when I say I'm going to do something, I do it. My word is everything to me. And I'll never back down on my word, and that's a promise.
There you go.
You're simply splendid.
I am.
That's right. And when we come back, we're going to talk movies with Erica A, TV as well. And if any of you gentlemen want to stick around, join the conversation. And we're going to bring back Nick Commando as well. So we'll be right back. Evan Ginzburg Show, VillageConnectionRadio.com. All right, we are back with the Evan Ginzburg Show at VillageConnectionRadio.com. with Mike Monty making all kinds of noise back there.
Total chaos. Total chaos in the
That's right.
studio.
We have people in and out of the studio, including media expert Erica A. Nick Commando is back, Mr. Big, and we're going to talk TV, we're going to talk movies, but I must recommend two things before we get deep into this. On HBO last night, comedian Drew Michael, 10 o'clock last night. This guy, I've never seen anything quite like this. No studio audience, no laugh track, just him talking into a camera for nearly an hour, basically eviscerating himself like Richard Pryor used to do. It was absolutely brilliant. And I was sitting there by myself watching this, and at the end, I heard myself go, wow. And I've seen, I go back. Oh my God. I go back to George Carlin, Richard Pryor, all the greats. And this kid, he's not a kid, he's 32 years old, but tremendous.
To do that to you, the true test of how good you are as a comedian is doing it without an audience.
And these weren't jokes. This guy was talking about his life. It wasn't jokes. It wasn't like boom, boom.
But it was funny.
It was funny, but it was also very insightful and poignant. And just great. Drew Michael is his name. And I also recommend A Monster Calls, which is technically a kid's movie, but it's very dark. The kid's mother is dying, and this monster visits him.
2016, I believe, was.
16 or 17, yeah. Tremendous film, A Monster Calls. So what have you guys been watching, Erica?
Okay, well, I was going to come on and talk about the summer award season seems to just end, but I've also been watching TV. Don't worry, I've been watching a new show, Carter, on WGN America. There we go, I got the right call letters, and I've been watching all kinds of crazy stuff. I've also been watching the old stuff. I've actually, you talk about comedy, I have found how amusing it is to watch the first segment of Welcome Back, Kotter, where he does that cheap joke at the beginning of each episode.
Some of the sweat hogs are dead already. That's how old that show is.
Here we go.
Well, all but
the
two.
mob list starts again.
That's right.
The mob list.
But old TV is great that way. It just comes back.
Yeah. Funny is funny, whether it's 40 years ago or now. I get a little annoyed when people will use today's mores while watching something. They'll go, that was sexist. That was whatever. That was 40, 50 years ago.
Like
Times change.
I'm
you
sorry,
know?
All in the
I
Family
do.
run it today. Well, they do run it today.
Yes,
in
they
reruns.
do run it. It actually
But
does pretty well on 3 different channels.
You couldn't produce it today, though. You couldn't produce it. You can run it because it was done already on its history, so people say, it's nostalgia. It's like looking at the Confederate flag and watching the Dukes of Hazzard. Why do people do... Oh, that's terrible. Watching that,
different values. You can't judge it.
But you can't judge it because they say it's history. It's part of history.
What about some of the wrestling promos in the 80s? Some of that stuff was racist, homophobic. They couldn't say that stuff today.
What was
Why
it,
not?
King of the Ring 94, Hulk Hogan calling Yokozuna a Jap.
Yeah, that wouldn't get over today.
No.
Yeah.
Why not?
No, it could
that would
happen,
be
and then you get
xenophobic.
penalties,
Now, I wanna ask you a
and then they
question.
get fines, and then...
You guys are talking over each
Sorry,
other.
Sorry.
What was that, Erica?
I was saying, of course it could happen today, and then Hulk Hogan would get penalties, and whichever station did it would get the fine from the FCC, and then they would have to do a formal apology, and then one of them would then get placed on the upside of the room of the other person at all times.
And then you have the fake public apology. I'm sorry.
Why did they get fined? Wait, so what? That's what I was going to ask you. I said, why would there be any? If it's a wrestler, I'm talking about. Now, we're not talking about Arnold Schwarzenegger now is doing a movie and he's promoting a movie and he talks about the Jews, whatever, that's different.
Well, Arnold Schwarzenegger has so many things going on. Let's not even
I'm
get...
just using it
okay.
because I saw him this morning on some Facebook thing I was watching, so it reminded me.
This just happened in wrestling. Jinder Mahal, when he was feuding with Nakamura last year for the WWE title, he kind of did a racist or racially insensitive accent of an Asian person, and the crowd started chanting. I remember, that's too far, and they faced tiny bit of backlash. But WWE had to release a statement that I'm paraphrasing, but in not so many words, basically like, "Hey, it's not real, guys.
Right.
This isn't how we actually feel. This is not how Jinder Mahal feels about Shinsuke Nakamura. What WWE is entertainment, and we push the envelope sometimes. So,
deal with it. It's a story.
Do you know
But-
in colleges today, the comedy bookers have contracts with what the comedians can and can't say?
Yeah.
This
Well-
guy, Drew Michael, yesterday was talking about bestiality and every possible taboo.
You could talk about bestiality. It's not,
Not on college campuses.
Well, okay, maybe not.
But but you got to consider how many people on all the college campuses have gotten booed, how much controversy, the protesting going on. It's just a different time we live in.
College.
Everything has to be so PC now.
Yeah, and comedians are scared to play colleges today. Yeah. So what are you watching, Nick?
Well, we were talking in the green room. I've been rewatching Breaking Bad, a series I've probably watched 5 or 6 times at this point.
Really?
Yeah,
That great, huh?
I'm also somebody that tends to go back to what I know and what I'm comfortable with, and Breaking Bad is that to me because I know I'm going to be entertained, and I like getting sucked in. And even though I've seen it a million times and I kind of know what's coming to a degree, it still just gets to me for some reason. I enjoy it. But Better Call Saul, springboarding off of Breaking Bad, that's another show that I've been consistently watching. They just come back with season 4. They're like 3 or 4 episodes in. And it's a fascinating show. It kind of talks about it. It's a spin-off with a character from Breaking Bad before he meets Bryan Cranston and goes on that whole journey. So
what do you consider the greatest drama of all time? Breaking Bad?
Not somebody who's watched a ton of television in my life and have seen a lot of the top tier shows, but I think you'd be hard pressed to have somebody argue Breaking Bad with you because it's so well written.
I have not seen all of Breaking Bad. I would say The Wire. The Wire was unbelievable.
The Wire I thought was a better show.
Really good things
unbelievable.
About The Wire.
Breaking Bad had its moments.
Sopranos were great too.
But you know what was a better show, I thought? Because it kept me, every freaking episode kept me like, oh, what's going to happen? This Oz.
Oz was great.
Oz was
great.
My father was alive. He worked for the Rockefeller program, the instructors, the supervisor, but it was a show called The Rock. And it was a TV show that lasted maybe half a season on TV, and this must have been the 60s or 70s. It was about prison. It was about guys in 3 cells or 4 cells.
I believe that show actually is on H&I. It might not still be, but it did do a run.
Oh, okay. It was a very short-lived show, but he loved it. He would have loved Oz. He was
Oz was rough. You had the Nazi rapist. Man, Oz was rough.
Hey, you had,
Oz was the real truth.
You had guys who played cops
hero.
later, who were playing criminals. Guys who were all these NBC and ABC actors. They really came at their own then, and then that was one of my favorite shows. Was Oz.
We only have a few minutes left. What must people be watching, Erica?
Well, right now I'd say there isn't anything that must be watching. You've got to wait for September. Then everything is coming back. We got through a few great finales. I was a little sad about how the originals ended. And CW show. It's about vampires. It's having a spin-off coming in September.
Okay.
I'm not going to spoil how it ended. We lost a few of the main characters, the ones I cared about.
All right. Nick, what should we be watching? What's must see?
Better Call Saul to me is, it just continues that mythos and that evolution of the Saul Goodman character. So I would say Better Call Saul.
I still love Homeland, but it's going to be the last season. Claire Danes, tremendous.
And then there's regular TV, for us folk who refuse to pay cable and all that, because I'm not home.
Well, that's
enough
why
anyway.
I always talk about the CW,
Lethal
NBC.
Weapon has changed. I like the other guy that was in it.
I didn't. I'm hoping
he was really good. And it's funny because an old friend of mine, Michael Klein, if you saw his Facebook picture, he looks just like Clay.
Yes, that was true. He did have a great.
Like him.
The visual appearance was the best part, but I thought
he was a good actor. But this other guy will be all right. But I'm not going to watch this much. But that Lucifer, I think, is a totally
was a great show.
Charming show.
They agree.
Entertaining, and kept me back every week, no matter what I was doing.
Fox did it wrong.
Fox is a great station to watch. So whatever they come up with, I watch.
Well, Fox booted it. They only showed one episode. They have a few banked. It went to one of the streaming services.
It's going to Netflix.
It's
going to Netflix now. Yeah, they canceled it. It's going to Netflix.
That's what I was saying. It was a great show. Fox
did a
did
great
it
network.
wrong.
5 minutes later, bleeping
Fuck you,
Fox.
Fox. I
You're out of
pay
the
for you,
loop.
but I can
Go
take
to
it.
media.
I usually say that about
Erica-
Fox News.
Exactly. But,
No, Fox News
but
is
even
good. I like
ABC
Fox.
Family did
disagree.
Shadowhunters wrong. It's now moving to a streaming service
Yeah.
on Channel 2. Designated Survivor got the boot inappropriately, and now it's moving to a streaming
Big
service.
Bang Theory's ending.
Yes, Big Bang Theory
I
announced
really
its
liked it.
ending.
That's it.
That was a brilliant show.
But
when it had its
how about
moments.
Young Sheldon? How is that doing? I've lost track of that.
Who cares?
You must see This Is America, Sacha Baron Cohen on
I do
Showtime.
wanna watch
us,
that.
you
Funny
mean.
fucker. That guy. I gotta tell you, he really is.
He had a food critic that he told the guy he was eating human meat. The guy thought he was a cannibal and he was eating it. It was insane. The last episode, insane.
He's like Tom Green, but normal. Like if Tom Green was normal, then he would
Well,
be
Tom
Sacha
Green
Baron
proved
Cohen.
to
And
be
what's
normal in the
interesting,
end.
with This Is America is he'll humiliate Republicans and Democrats. He doesn't care.
He's a comedian.
He doesn't care.
He's an Andy
Yeah.
Kaufman type comedian. He really gets into
He's
that.
a genius.
I think so. I think he
Oh
is.
yeah.
He's a funny, funny
This
fucker.
is
He
America.
really is.
This is America, right?
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
Tremendous.
He was the dictator. It was a slapstick guy. It's clean up on aisle 2.
We got a minute or two left before Under the Radar, and you guys are going to be on Under
Yes,
the
we're
Radar.
going to be talking about movies this time
So
around.
before
Well, I'm getting out of here. So September 15th, Deer Park. You don't want to miss the show. You don't want to miss the show either, wise
No, I
guy.
don't.
Because you
No, I
guys
don't.
talk about wrestling, and that means you're interested in
Nick,
it.
Nick
So-
Commando has a wrestling show. You guys should
Well, he'll invite,
connect.
if he wants to invite me, he knows how to find me.
That's right.
Okay, and more
No better
importantly,
talker than this guy.
September 15th, you come to the show, you'll get a lot of good content for yourself, and you'll have a great time. And you too. You might meet a nice guy, you never know.
Yeah.
A nice guy might meet you, which is more
Okay.
important.
Her dad's a wrestler. Seriously.
Was,
I'm not joking.
yeah.
Her dad was a wrestler. Seriously.
Well, then she
Back
enjoy
in
it.
the
But
60s
September
and
15th,
70s.
you're coming, because you got a ticket.
Six
And it didn't cost you anything.
six degrees of separation. Everything's connected to wrestling, including her dad. So
That's right. Listen, I want to thank you for having me on the show.
My
'cause
pleasure.
You know I'm going to take over when I come in here. I have a voracious appetite for the air.
But that's why I fight back.
You're good, honey. You can fight me anytime. I'll wrestle you anytime.
Only verbally.
Just as long as the Iron Shiksa don't find out. So, Savali, keep your trap shut, will you?
yeah. All right. So before we wrap it up, anything you want to plug? Social media, all you guys.
You heard it from me already.
Wrestling podcast about wrestling. Search WPAW on iTunes, Google Play, anywhere you find podcasts.
Wrestling podcast about wrestling.
Yep.
That works.
Yeah.
Works for me.
There's no confusing what the show's about.
No.
Erica, what do you want to plug?
Oh, no, you can look me up on Facebook, always around, cinematographer, videographer. I know my stuff.
That's right. And Monty and the Pharaoh, 8:05 Thursday, the sacred 8:05 time from TBS NWA.
Let's not forget, Val Venus will be here later.
That's right.
Hello, ladies.
Val Venus will be here at 3 o'clock, 21 Walt Whitman Road, VillageConnectionRadio.com. And that should about do it, folks. We're off next Sunday. It's Labor Day weekend, and we'll be back 2 weeks from now with Julius Smokes. Talk about great talkers.
He's a good talker.
Yeah.
He's a good worker, too. And I like him. He's a good guy.
Max Vitelli and the Phoenix Wrestlers, and poet John Winnell.
I
You always want wrestlers and poets
I
mixing.
like John Winnell. He scares me a little bit. He really does. There's something about him that intrigues me. But when he reads his poetry, I get a little chill sometimes.
Very intense.
All right.
It's very a little chill.
It's the metaphors and similes. They're terrifying.
Yeah, because I don't know which
Well,
is
as long
which.
as he
No, I know
gets
which
his
is which.
stage.
Yeah. Self-deprecation is bad. It don't work on me, does it?
Anyway, this will about do it. Evan Ginzburg signing off, VillageConnectionRadio.com. Thank you, Jim Savali, for the forum. Appreciate it.
I've lived in my head.